Welcome to the Real Estate Way to Wealth and Freedom podcast with Jacob Ayers, providing actionable content to help you along your journey to financial freedom through real estate investing. As the premier asset class, real estate has helped ordinary people just like you amass fortunes. The benefits of passive income from real estate investing will allow you to live a life you want. And now your host, entrepreneur, real estate investor, and apartment deal syndicator, Jacob Ayers.
Hi, and welcome to the Real Estate Way to Wealth and Freedom podcast, episode 313. Welcome back. This is Friday Fundamental, and I'm your host, Jacob Ayers. Hey, thanks so much for tuning in to this week's episode. I say this every week, but I truly am so glad you're tuning in. I know that you're making a commitment to listen to this podcast with your valuable time, and for that, I can't say thank you enough. Well, as part of last week's Friday Fundamental, which was adapting to change, we discussed constant improvement with daily habits. This week, we'll expand on that piece a bit more in detail and look at how you can create new habits in your life starting today. Now, there is no shortage of great content out there when it comes to habits. As mentioned last week, Charles Duhigg and James Clear have both written great books on the subjects, along with many others. Researchers such as B.J. Fogg of Stanford's Behavior Design Lab and others have studied human behavior and psychology. Jim Kwik has studied and dissected the mind in an effort to unlock our true potential. Nothing I say will compare to the work each of these people have done, but I'll do my best to relay some of the interesting things they've taught millions of people, including me, and share with you how you too can engineer the lifestyle you want, starting with habits. So let's take first Jim Kwik and his book, Limitless. He talks about the importance of what he calls the S3, simple, small steps. By taking a bigger goal and breaking it into smaller, manageable action steps, we're able to progress towards that goal without letting fear of such a daunting task prevent us from ever getting started. These simple, small steps over time become habits. Habits compounded over time can create extraordinary results, and that's what we're going for. To show the power of habits, Jim in his book references a famous study called the Zeigarnik effect. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. This is Russian psychologist Bluma Zeigarnik studied a phenomenon noticed by her professor of waitstaff at a local restaurant. Her professor noticed that waitstaff at the busy restaurant were able to keep track of customers' orders even while managing the many other tasks he or she was responsible for. Interruptions, other customers, and the chaos of the restaurant didn't seem to create any confusion with them. However, interestingly, after the order was placed and completed, the waitstaff no longer remembered the details of the order. Now, this seems a bit counterintuitive. How can one remember specific details amidst interruptions and chaos, yet forget those details afterwards? Zeigarnik and her professor set out to study this strange occurrence. And what they found was that a task that has been started but not finished creates a tension in the mind, which improves cognitive recollection of that event. Now, if you think about this in your own life, you've likely recognized the feeling. Think to a time when you procrastinated something. I know, we all do it. Maybe a school assignment, a work deadline, etc. You tell yourself that you'll do it later. It will only take a short period of time, and seemingly countless other reasons your mind can conjure up that will allow you to postpone said action. The result, though, as you may be familiar with, is your mind is constantly reminding you of that thing you're procrastinating. You're unable to enjoy whatever it is you're doing because your mind is in constant tension, reminding you of that thing you're putting off. It's only when the action we've procrastinated is completed that our mind lets go of that tension. And then, of course, on to the next thing. Now, psychologists believe this is why, in part, we feel guilty about procrastination. Given enough time to procrastinate, that amount of tension can build and make us resent the task that much more and cause you not to enjoy your current state, the reason you are procrastinating something. So it's a lose-lose. The solution? Well, don't procrastinate would be the end-all be-all, but hey, we're only humans, so let's look at some more practical ways to deal with this dilemma we all face at times. In all likelihood, that thing we put off isn't as big as we make it out to seem. The biggest hurdle is just taking that first step and getting started for the most part. Let's take an example of reading for say. Whether it's for school, work, personal study, or leisure. You have a book that you should or have to read. But here you are on a beautiful weekend day with so many other things you would rather be doing. As humans, our tendency is to put off that burdensome task of reading and go enjoy the countless other things we would rather be doing. You look at that book and it looks daunting, hundreds of pages just sitting there, waiting for you to pore over them. You think to yourself, nah, I'll just start that later tonight before I go to bed, or tomorrow sounds like a better time to sit and read. Whether it's reading, running errands, or a number of other things, we've all faced this internal battle with ourselves at some point. But what if instead we approached that task, in this case reading, by breaking it into small actions? We could set aside 5 minutes and read that book cover, skim the table of contents to get an idea of what the book is about, and read the foreword or introduction. Boom. You've just started, which is 90% of the battle. Mark your page and leave that next chapter for another time. You have just started your reading. Now, you've started the book, and maybe next time you have a few minutes, you can read another 5 pages. Better yet, do the exact same thing, same time, same place, tomorrow. 5 pages a day, and you'll have the book finished this month. Voila. You've not only accomplished the task in only 5 minutes per day, but you've freed up all that space in your mind and dealt with the would-be stress of procrastinating. That 5 minutes you committed to reading would have been easily spent doing who knows what else, surfing social media, wasting time, watching the news, a number of other things, had you not set that time aside for some quick reading. You can approach anything in your life with this same structure. If you're not as in shape as you would like to be, it can be difficult to imagine yourself in great shape, able to run a 5K, and working out 4 times per week. So instead, you wait for the new year to roll around to start then. No, start now. Go walk to the end of your driveway. Walk up 5 stairs, or just do 1 push-up. Start small and build habits and see how much you will accomplish in your own life. My challenge to you today is to create 1 new habit around something you want. Take the smallest action you can think of. That's it. Literally the smallest thing. If you can't think of anything, then consider reaching out to me and just telling me your commitment. That will be your smallest action step. You can do that by going to www.jacobayers.com and contacting me from there. You are an ever-evolving and capable person. With your willpower, your thoughts, and your actions, you are capable of achieving anything you put your mind to. Start small, build on today's achievements, and you will tomorrow be 1 step closer to achieving your goal. Well, hey, that wraps up this week's Friday Fundamental. I hope you're enjoying this podcast from our weekly guest interviews to these Friday Fundamentals. I really hope I'm bringing just as much value to you as you are hoping for. Well, hey, If you like what you heard, please go over and leave a rating and review on whichever platform you're listening on. I'd love to give you a shout out in an upcoming episode. As always, until next week, engineer the lifestyle you want.
You've been listening to the Real Estate Way to Wealth and Freedom podcast, providing you actionable content to build your real estate empire. Nothing on this show should be considered specific, personal, or professional advice. Please consult an appropriate tax, legal, real estate, financial, or business professional for personal advice. The opinions of guests are their own. Information is not guaranteed. All investment strategies have a potential for profit or loss. The host is operating on behalf of the Real Estate Way to Wealth and Freedom, LLC exclusively.